You are listening to Third House Podcast, where we blend astrology, witchcraft, and creativity to design our own magical lives. I'm your host, Brittany Pastuhov, a psychic tarot reader, astrologer, and coach dedicated to helping ambitious witches overcome their fears and forge fulfilling, spiritually aligned vocational paths. Whether you're looking for guidance through astrology readings, tarot, or my signature astro-empowerment coaching, this is your space for inspiration. It's my hope that these episodes push you to embrace your dreams and turn them into reality. Let's dive into the magic. Okay, welcome to the August forecast. Mercury retrograde left us with some internet issues, but that wasn't the only thing. I'm having to re-record this for the second time because the software glitched. So definitely switching software for these screen recordings of my forecasts, where on YouTube I like to use the chart behind me to show you some of what's going on, because astrology is very visual. So if you're able to watch the video on YouTube, that's how I recommend viewing these forecasts, as opposed to just listening and being able to see the chart. So we're recording again, and second time around, hopefully it will be even better. I wanted to start with where we are now before things start moving into other signs. We have heard, I'm sure you've heard a lot about Barbault's basket. I sent a newsletter out to my email list about this as well, but it was a very popular transit to talk about on social media. So Barbault's basket is this configuration, also known as a cradle, also known as a trapeze aspect pattern, where we have this minor grand trine between Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, and Neptune in Aries. And then we also have trines between Neptune in Aries to Jupiter in Libra. Jupiter in Leo. So anything traversing these early degrees of Leo kind of activates the Barbault's basket right now, with all of these other outer planets that are already forming that minor trine. And then we also have the Pluto-Jupiter opposition forming the handle of the basket. So this will be activated again in August when Mercury moves into Leo as well, even as Jupiter starts moving towards the middle degrees of Leo and into more of a trine with Saturn rather than Neptune. The Barbault's basket will continue to be activated and become even more complex when Venus goes into Libra. So I wanted to talk about it. It was essentially what people were talking about was the mundane astrologer Andre Barbault, who developed a cyclical model for prediction that turned out to be very accurate. He accurately predicted the pandemic for 2020. This was in the 20th century. He was an astrologer of the 20th century who saw this configuration in 2026, though he was not alive to see it, predicted that it would be a creative and basically harmonious time for humanity that would usher it in, which ushering it in doesn't necessarily mean that it instantly happens. It means that you're living through some kind of reconfiguration or change that he hoped would become harmonious. It still remains to be seen how that shakes out, but what you're living through are major transits of major planets and a lot of different aspects happening at the same time. So it's not simple, as you may have felt through July. Barbault's basket, or the trapeze or cradle, the energy is gained in the context of a struggle. That opposition that forms the handle is really important, that Jupiter-Pluto opposition. We might be able to get something we've gained that we've already worked for, consequences or rewards if our lives are in order, but it's not really something that we can use to make something new. So it's you have to choose in order to construct the best future, but it also depends on what has already happened in the past. And trying to something that has a shaky foundation can fall, or can kind of make us feel erratic. Stability can collapse as something new is eventually being created. So it requires balance and finesse, like kind of like swinging on a trapeze. Like if it's a cradle, it's the rockabye baby cradle up in the tree. Like it's a little shaky, right? Like a trapeze. So it's not like the easiest kind of energies to access, and it's a lot of different energies all at once. One good thing about this configuration that has been noted is the idea that aid from outside can appear from the right place at the right time. And this is very much, this one is very much outer planet oriented. So it really is aid from outside of us. Like the outer planets are kind of like storms or wind or mountains or tsunamis, right? Like they're just forces that are acting kind of on the world. And then we live in that environment. So this is kind of the environment that's been being created, like something maybe is being born, but there's a very kind of tenuous element to it where it's not like fully stable. It just, you have to really be careful and choose well in order to access that energy. So we already are feeling that we're in the midst of big changes. This is just one part of that. Then when Venus comes through I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit to show you some of the bigger aspect patterns that are playing out this month. When Venus comes into Libra, she starts to form this mystic rectangle. The Barbault basket is still in play with Jupiter and Mercury being in Leo. But with Venus in Libra, then we have this mystic rectangle between Venus, trine Pluto, and then the Neptune trine with Jupiter, and then the opposition from Jupiter to Pluto and the opposition from Venus to Neptune. A mystic rectangle, essentially, it includes two oppositions, two trines, and two sextiles, giving it like this very sort of stable rectangle, but the dynamics of the oppositions for movement. So there are big questions with a mystic rectangle, even though you've got 4 different signs at play there. There are also potential solutions or opportunities that arise. Great things are possible, even though there's much to work out. And often with a mystic rectangle, the obstacle is the way. So it's about mindset or perspective. Changing the state of mind, letting go is the way through. It's kind of that holding the paradox. So there's a possibility of overcoming major obstacles this month. With Venus in Libra kind of activating these other aspects, synthesizing different elements into new forms, big results from using skills to overcome. So finding like if the obstacle is the way, figuring out what your obstacle is and trying to let go or accept as part of the way through it, or find a creative solution, perhaps by resting and not thinking so much about it, or by using skills that weren't previously available. It's the kind of configuration that rewards different ways of thinking and being able to hold paradoxes rather than necessarily trying to ram your way through it. And the kite aspect that is also formed with Venus in Libra here, there's a grand trine that she kind of activates with a trine to Pluto and in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini when she hits Libra. So that's beautiful. A grand air trine offering us different new perspectives and ways of thinking available to us. The trines are kind of like it's available, it's in the air. Whether or not you access it is kind of up to you. And then the opposition to Neptune here in Aries creates kind of a kite formation with this minor grand trine that's already happening. Do you see how many different aspects are in play here? Like there's a lot of different, and this is what also reading charts is like. People will have a lot of different aspects going on at the same time. Although if this is someone's chart, which it always is, somebody will be born August 12th of 2026. It's a very interesting one. Like it's one that would be unusual. So this many different patterns at the same time is rather unusual, and we are living through interesting times for sure. The kite formation offers some more stability because now there's a 4th point to this trine. There's a kite kind of aiming or being able to sail on the wind. So you have some internal stability, some successful realization of abilities if it's used, combining different abilities with some skills in order to actually get results, because there's an opposition that creates dynamic energy. Whereas the blue lines, the trines and sextiles, it's opportunities available if you take them. And the red lines, the oppositions and squares, they're more dynamic action or challenges that inspire kind of action and movement. Not good or bad. I would consider, rather than thinking of aspects or different things in astrology as good or bad, I would think of things as being harmonious or in dissonance. So this is an idea that I got from Devin Hunter in his book about the paranormal, which I'll cite in the notes. But this idea that like things don't have to be just higher or lower, like good or bad, all these kind of dichotomies and binaries that we create in Western culture, but that it can be just harmony and dissonance the way that we have in music, where a good piece of music will have both harmony and dissonance in it. And that is what makes it interesting. That's what makes it good. Often music will resolve to a harmony at the end, which is very satisfying to us, but not always, depending on what the composer plans to achieve. So when we hear like a minor chord, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. That could still be a really good song. It's just all part of the music. So think of it as part of the music, harmonies and dissonance, rather than necessarily good aspect, bad aspect. It's not really how it's meant to play out, but like opportunity and action align with each other in the kite formation. So there's an aspiration towards accomplishment in that polarity, that point of opposition between Neptune and Venus. The reconciliation and balancing is where we achieve stability and movement. Again, another paradox, but we have to really balance a lot of things. And Venus in Libra is really helping us do that in August. And then the last thing I'll mention about all these different patterns is that once Venus hits that point where she is creating that grand trine, creating that kite formation, that mystic rectangle, that's all part of this envelope that is, the combination of the rectangle and this minor trine right here, making the top triangle of the envelope and pointing at Uranus in Gemini. So the envelope, similar to the mystic rectangle, because of course it includes it, but on a different level. It's a smooth transition from struggle, a choice or a break that clears things, possible innovation, definitely very keyword with Uranus and Gemini here, and struggle passing smoothly into freedom. So if that wasn't a whole lot of information about August's aspect patterns, these are some things that are happening in August. We have opportunities to overcome struggle. We have opportunities to achieve freedom or accomplish something, or maybe solve a problem that was presented in July that didn't seem quite clear yet, as we were kind of like swinging from this trapeze together this month. So we have those major aspect patterns. We also have the nodes that just moved into Aquarius and Leo. So the Aquarius North Node, collectively moving us toward freedom and the creation of a collective future through community and away from unnecessary drama or individualistic thinking, which would be in Leo, South Node in Leo. That's an oversimplification, but essentially that's where it's moving us collectively. And then you can see in your own chart where the energies are kind of directing you, where the North Node is in Aquarius. Eclipse season this month. It's eclipse season this month. We have a total solar eclipse in Leo and a Pisces lunar eclipse. And they're both in the same Saros cycle as the eclipses of August 2008. So those are leaves of the same tree, to use Bernadette Brady's metaphor for Saros cycles. These come in 6-month cycles. You have eclipses every 6 months, 18-month cycles of the signs that you're going through with eclipses, 9-year cycles to come back around to the same axis of the signs. They're most relevant to the degree of your chart that they actually hit. So if it's a personal planet or point that you have at 20 degrees of Leo with the solar eclipse, like that's much more important for you than for a different person who doesn't really have anything at 20 degrees of Leo. So that's on eclipses. You don't have to freak out about them, but they may or may not be more personal to you. They certainly are cycles of change that happen on these 6, 18-month, and 9-year cycles, and even longer cycles if you're talking about Saros cycles. Then we have the Jupiter-Saturn trine, from Jupiter in Leo to Saturn in Aries, applying all month, and it's exact on the 31st of August. This will be the first of 3 exact trines from 2026 through 2027. So the other 2 will be April 3rd, 2027 and July 11th, 2027. These are the 2 kind of cosmic big dogs, big daddies working in harmony, even with Saturn retrograde in its fall. There's more opportunity from Jupiter and Leo and like optimism than necessarily sustained effort. So you have to bring the effort with you, but there's opportunity for like sustaining purpose towards a goal, patience, endurance, achieving ambitions, sustained focus, big goals that you want to create. And again, this goes through, I mean, it's happening now and it goes through 2027. So this is just the first of three exact aspects between Jupiter and Saturn that are harmonious, that are trine, so offering opportunity to take advantage of. And then at the end of the month, Venus will enter the shadow of her October retrograde, which does not mean she's going retrograde. She's still direct, but that she will start to hit the degrees that she'll be going over again several times this year. And so it's worth noting what happens in relationships, love, and creativity and other Venus themes when Venus starts hitting those later degrees of Libra into Scorpio. Okay, then Venus enters Libra. It's actually August 6th, but I'm just going to skip ahead here. This is the first time we have like a official aspect, planet changing signs in August. So we've been over some key points. Venus enters Libra August 6th, and this is lovely. This is Venus entering the sign of her rulership in Libra. It's a beautiful placement for love, harmony, receiving gifts, beauty, creativity, art, simply taking pleasure in life and relationships. Venus here can help us to find or maintain balance in the midst of eclipse season. And she forms all these other aspects that I had mentioned before, like the trine with Pluto and Uranus, grand air trine, which also is a kite with Neptune here, and adding later to this kind of envelope aspect with the mystic rectangle that she creates. So all of her presence in Libra and anything else moving through Libra soon, it adds to all of these larger aspect patterns that are in play, like the Barbault basket that we had talked about, but adding onto them and kind of creating other opportunities or solutions or ways through from what we experienced in July. Okay, on the 6th also, the sun will trine Saturn. So go back for a minute. Sun at 14 degrees Leo, trine Saturn at 14 degrees Aries. It is Leo season now in August. We're halfway through Leo season. It's the season of hot days, vacations, and play. We have not only the sun and Mercury in Leo. Mercury will go into Leo in August this month. But Jupiter is already there, ramping up the heat and inviting us to shine even brighter. So Leo is the sign of the heart. It's a season for greater generosity and heart opening, for increasing the magnetism and field of your heart. And the sun ruling Leo is in harmony with Saturn and Aries that day, August 6th, echoing the applying Jupiter-Saturn trine that will be exact at the end of this month. So it's an excellent time to move forward with plans and goals, feeling optimistic. If you want to do something bold or take a calculated risk that you hope will pay off, shine authentically to become more visible to those who are aligned with your larger vision. Those are all good things to do in the first week of August, especially August 6th, or leading up to it. All these aspects are applying before the exact date that I mentioned. On the 9th, Mercury enters Leo, August 9th. So moving from a long transit in Cancer included the recent retrograde into Leo and following the sun closely. Communication gets more playful with Mercury and Leo. There's a lot of like youth there, a lot of like maybe discussions or communication about children or from children, opportunities for generous and loving words to share, as well as creative, fun ideas. If you want to be a thought leader or use your voice for leadership, this is a great transit to work with as Mercury conjoins the Sun and Jupiter in Leo. Also on the 10th, we have Venus trine Pluto becoming exact at 4 degrees of Libra and Aquarius. So this is Venus in harmony with Pluto. So finding common ground around creating community to move forward collectively and creating the hopeful future we want and not this dystopian future of despair that we're often shown. We are in a time of incredible collective change, as I've said, and that allows those of us who are aware to choose the direction and manifest the creation of the next phase of humanity. And I don't say that lightly or in some new age sense in which I'm unaware of other forces at play. I'm very aware that there are many stakeholders at play in the major changes happening, including in the spirit world, and since everything is alive in the rest of the living and more than human world as well. So how will we collaborate with those who would be our allies? Diplomacy is key and can create great transformation here, opportunities for great transformation, if we can find other ways through. Also, on the 10th, we have the exact aspect of Venus opposition to Neptune at 4 degrees. So this is the spine of the kite formation. It's a key part of that kite, as well as that mystic rectangle, as well as that envelope that extends the mystic rectangle. Venus opposing Neptune in Aries. Don't succumb to the delusion that you are all alone or that your individual ego is the only or most important thing that matters. This delusion can take the form of grandiosity, but grandiosity can also be imagining yourself to be a victim of everything that's happening, refusing to accept your own power. The way out is through harmony, harmonious relationship, which doesn't have to be with another human, but does have to be an acceptance of balance and humble understanding of your own beauty and your own power to create. August 11th, we have Mercury trine Neptune. So another part of that mystic rectangle, but perfecting the aspect at 4 degrees. So Mercury trine Neptune offers creative ideas, solutions, imaginative futures, action that creates the dreams. You can share dreams with others in order to dispel the illusion of separateness. Don't imagine enemies or get caught up in fights with supposed enemies. And a lot of things online are just bots anyway, or rage bait. Like, don't imagine enemies. The fracturing of allies is a big distraction. Find dreamers that have enough in common to share with and share with them. Okay, a lot of these aspects I'm seeing as people finding common ground, breaking through barriers to share with each other as we try to create this collective future together. So don't imagine that it is about enemies, about warfare, blaming, victimhood. Try to rise beyond that and find common ground on a higher level with other people. August 11th, also Venus trine Uranus, another part of this grand trine that she is included in the kite formation. All the other things that I mentioned is Venus trine Uranus in Gemini. So the allies may be unusual, they may be unexpected, they may arrive at inconvenient times. This mystic rectangle part of the aspect is above all supportive. It speaks of great results if the harmonies can be harnessed and the tensions can be seen for the necessary polarities that they are. There are great opportunities available this month in the midst of what might look like chaos, but you have to be clear-eyed to see them and open to the possibility that allies could appear in strange clothing. Open your mind and heart to those who are different, as long as you have a strong sense of safety and boundaries around what you will and will not allow into your field. It is a good time to be harmonious towards others who are different. Okay, also on August 11th, we have Mars in Cancer. Also on August 11th, we have Mars in Cancer, planet of action and drive in the sensitive and psychic sign of emotional ties. He's somewhat weakened and behaves differently in the sign of his fall. So here, Mars is driven towards protection. So Mars playing defense rather than offense. If the crab sign housing Mars feels attacked, the crab can either withdraw into his shell for protection or pinch the perceived attacker. But perception is key here, as Mars and Cancer natives are known for holding on to some emotional anger. If they haven't learned how to perform the alchemy of transmuting that anger into desire, that's the key. If they haven't learned how to perform that alchemy of transmutation from anger to desire. So at his best, Mars in Cancer is a protective force watching over loved ones, a home, a particular emotional desire that needs creative acts. And Mars will also form squares to Neptune this month, as well as Saturn next month, which will challenge us to identify what we care about most and protect it. So aim towards sensitivity and the actions of the noble warrior. Question perceptions before pinching others. Now we come to our total solar eclipse on August 12th. So we have a total solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo. That's a new moon eclipse for those who don't know. And it's trine Saturn in Aries and also conjunct the South Node, which is at 29 degrees of Leo now. So this Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle along this axis of Leo and Aquarius started with a solar eclipse February 17th of this year, 2026, at 29 degrees of Aquarius, where the North Node is now. So if anything significant happened in mid-February of this year, you can go back to that for some sense of the themes that are coming up, but this is in the opposite sign. And this eclipse cycle along this axis will continue through January of 2028. It is, as a total solar eclipse, it will be visible during the day it will be visible from parts of Russia, Greenland, Iceland, Portugal, and Spain. It also resonates with some eclipses of the past because all of these kind of function in this cycles within cycles model, where there was a Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle from August 2017 through January 2019. So you can look back to that for some themes in your life that were happening. Look at the houses of your chart where Leo and Aquarius sit to see some of the themes. That eclipse cycle included the total solar eclipse that we called the Great American Eclipse at 28 degrees of Leo on August 21st, 2017. So that's echoed with this eclipse this August in 2026. And then also echoed is the August 11th, 2018 partial solar eclipse, which was at 18 degrees of Leo, which is close to this one. And the Leo and Aquarius eclipse cycle before that one, which was February 2008 through August 2009. And that included the August 1st, 2008 total solar eclipse in Leo, 9 degrees Leo, which was the same Saros cycle as this current one, which is Saros 126. So those are some different layers to this eclipse. If any of those dates ring a bell or were especially significant, or you go back to old journals and emails and remember something that you were doing, it can illuminate some of the themes that were happening in your life. Bernadette Brady says to imagine the whole Saros cycle concept as a forest, and each Saros series, this is from series 126, which started in the year 1179, so really long series. Each Saros series is a tree, each eclipse a leaf on the tree. So that's how we're thinking of them, as like leaves of the same tree. That August 2008 eclipse is a leaf from the same tree as this eclipse. Those Leo Aquarius cycles from 2008 through 2009, 2017 through 2019 have echoes of some of the same themes because they were happening along the same polarity of Leo and Aquarius. So as we view time as an expanse and a field, spiraling through and making connections, remembering what happened for you and also how you've changed and how it's different this time, because the themes and the events are going to be different this time as well. In the polarity between the individual and community or collective, between your own generosity and the recipients of that generosity, or gifts you receive from others, yourself, your friends and groups, your understanding or perception of your own individual power and your vision of the collective future, your heart and the world. What is being eclipsed is being changed over the course of the 18 months of each eclipse cycle. So change your heart if you need to, change your associations and allyships if you need to, look deeper into your own chart and change something along the axis of Leo and Aquarius that is being illuminated and shadowed during this time through 2026 through 2028. Change, which is what eclipse cycles are harbingers of, either comes crashing down on us because in rare cases it is immutable fate or as a consequence of our own actions or our blindness, or you can direct it to the extent that you are willing to work with the forces available and direct change. This one asks you to not let your heart be eclipsed, but to find allies and generosity in this world. For the actual day of the eclipse, if you are more risk averse and interested in guarding the stability that you have, or if it hits a personal point or planet in your chart, spiritual protection is advised. Part of this eclipse in the larger aspect patterns on August 12th is Mercury sextile Uranus, Mercury at 5 degrees of Leo, sextile Uranus at 5 Gemini. It's presenting possible inspiration along with this eclipse, surprising events, ideas, communications, unexpected alliances, also potential tricksters, so beware of that. Moving on to August 13th, we have Mercury in Leo sextile Venus in Libra here. 647 Leo, 647 Libra. Part of the larger aspect pattern again, but it's a harmonious opportunity available to grasp for relationships, for love, communication, creation, play, and joy. And then August 15th, we work up to an exact conjunction between Mercury and Jupiter at 10 degrees of Leo. So this is a big roar, right, in the sign of the lion. What do you have to say? What aspects of yourself have you been hiding that want to come out? What is on your heart? Speak and be heard, August 15th. And then August 17th, we come to the exact square between Mars and Neptune here. So this comes back to Mars being an agent of protection and careful emotional guidance at his best in Cancer, being a protector and an emotional guide. So if you face a challenge to what is dear, nurture and protect what matters. You can also take action on what you imagine you wish to create here, as long as you're sure it is part of the larger whole and not an illusion for you. So don't get thrown off course. There is just a brief square and challenge. Also, August 17th, we have Mercury at 14 degrees of Leo now, trine Saturn in Aries, as the sun was earlier, and as Jupiter is applying to that trine as well. Continuing the season of potential generosity and heart opening. It's another date to move forward with plans and goals, to do something bold, take a calculated risk, shine authentically by speaking to become more audible and visible in an aligned capacity with your larger vision. And then also August 17th, we have Venus in Libra, sextile Jupiter at 10 degrees of Libra, sextile Jupiter at 10 degrees of Leo. So that is also a friendly opportunity that we could act on to take advantage of it, to behave with largesse in relationships, giving as we would wish to receive. And then August 21st, we come to the exact opposition between Venus and Saturn. So now Venus has moved out of that mystic rectangle configuration that we saw earlier and is opposing Saturn instead of Neptune. So that was part of also the kite aspect, was Venus opposite Neptune. Now we see some early signs of what the result has been of our attempts at harmony and balance of these polarities of self and other. On the 22nd, the sun will enter Virgo on the 22nd. Virgo season begins. This is the light moving into the sign of analysis, of healing, craftsmanship, and the careful application of knowledge. Schools are back in session. It's late summer, harvest season. We reflect on the season so far. And organize what we need for our own journeys of healing and spiritual growth. A few days later, August 25th, Mercury also enters Virgo. So leaving Leo behind for Virgo, Jupiter still remains in Leo. But Mercury rules Virgo. So communication during this period is best handled with discernment and attention to detail. Mercury is also exalted in Virgo, so like an extra exaltation. It's just a really good sign for Mercury. There's an opportunity for quick learning and interesting ideas. It's great for writers, teachers, software engineers, researchers, anyone who organizes and analyzes data. A great transit to work with Mercury for. And then August 27th, we have Mercury cazimi at 4 degrees of Virgo, which is Mercury-Sun conjunction. As Mercury moves into the heart of the sun, this is called a cazimi, as it is with any planet that moves into the heart of the sun. You can have a Jupiter cazimi, you can have other cazimis. This one's Mercury cazimi. Insights can be revealed at this time. In this case, possibly details that fit together to form a bigger picture. So take note of ideas and synchronicities, August 27th. And then August 28th, we have our other eclipse this month in August. It's a lunar partial eclipse at 4 degrees or almost 5 degrees of Pisces. It is in a T-square with Mercury at 5 degrees of Virgo and Uranus at 5 degrees of Gemini. So it's forming this red triangle aspect if you're watching on YouTube, through which the release point is in the opposite point at 5 degrees of Sagittarius, where we don't have anything there. So forming this T-square with Mercury, the Sun, and Uranus, And also trine the moon, the lunar eclipse is trine Mars in Cancer, and it's ruled by Jupiter, which is getting closer to that exact trine with Saturn in Aries. So, and it's a north node eclipse conjunct the north node at 2950 Aquarius. So this Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle started September 2024 and goes through February 2027. So remember I said they overlap. We have our Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle overlapping with our Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle. So this resonates with recent Pisces Virgo eclipse cycles of March 2015 through February 2017. If you notice themes coming up again that were coming up then, and March 2006 through February of 2008. It's in Saros cycle 138. So it's also resonant with lunar eclipses from August 6, 1990, which was in Aquarius, and a lunar eclipse from August 16th, 2008, which was also in Aquarius. So the eclipses of August 2008 are really in resonance with these different Saros cycles. Again, leaves of the same tree is how you should think of them. Different experiences, different you this time, but similar or resonant themes may come up along all of these different lines in the field. So this is the penultimate eclipse of this particular Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that started in September 2024 and ends in February 2027. With this one, we might receive a result of changes that have been brewing along the axis of Pisces and Virgo, which is an axis of earth and water, material and spirit. The dream and the analysis of the dream, word and image, illusion, discernment, big picture, details, chaos and order. What has been in disorder or coming into order in your life? Where do you need to analyze and review the details? What dream have you been working toward in the material that is still coming fully to fruition? The T-square with Uranus and Mercury suggests an inventive solution or surprise you may not have been previously aware of, while the trine to Mars suggests that what you care about most needs to be protected and factor into your decisions. Okay, and then moving ahead from that lunar eclipse, we have a couple more things happening. We have August 31st, the exact Jupiter-Saturn trine, 1341 Leo, trine Saturn at 1341 Aries. Again, to review, this is the first of 3 exact trines from 2026 through 2027. The other ones are on April 3rd, 2027 and July 11th, 2027. So August 31st is the first exact one. It's applying all month, all through August. You can work with this. It's the 2 kind of big daddies of the zodiac working in harmony. More opportunity than maybe like sustained effort available from Saturn. So that will have to come from you, but it's ambition, it's sustained purpose, patience, endurance, an optimistic perspective, focus on big goals. Like the harmony, the availability of skill, the availability of opportunity is there if you are going to go for it. And then also August 31st, we have Venus reaching the shadow of her retrograde when she hits 22.51 Libra. So once she hits 22 to 23 degrees of Libra, she's in the shadow, which means that she's traversing the same degrees she will be moving over when she stations on October 3rd. So she's not retrograde yet. She's still direct motion. She's still in Libra. She's still beautiful. But just pay attention to what comes up in your relationships, your relationship to yourself, your sense of creativity and creation and beauty, to others, of course, and to the house of your chart where Libra sits, wherever that is in your chart. Between now and October 3rd, noticing something about her direct motion through those degrees before she turns retrograde will give you kind of a preview of what's coming up for you during that Venus retrograde that will be happening from 8 degrees of Scorpio to 23 degrees of Libra between October 3rd and November 13th. So I'll talk more about that in a future episode. In conclusion, we've gone over a lot during this forecast, and I hope that you've enjoyed it and that it's very helpful for you. I would love to hear from you. Have you rate and review the podcast, or just message me personally on Instagram and let me know why you like the podcast and what you like about it. Consider how you're thinking about and using astrology too. Are the transits kind of a fast fashion thing for a moment and then you forget about them, as June from Saturn and Honey cautioned in her recent excellent Substack article on astrology and capitalism? Or are you considering this as a reminder of where, kind of when in time you are right now, and how the present moment is a palimpsest of so many moments in resonance with this one? There are opportunities in August for rest and allowing, for change and growth, for integration of the difficulties we've already experienced this summer, for understanding, for relating to each other, for accomplishment. You will have to choose your aim because it's only 1 month and attend to it, not just this month, but throughout the times of these different cycles that I was talking about, these 6-month, 18-month cycles of eclipses, these other larger cycles of like Jupiter moving through Leo all year long and making trine to Saturn. You'll have to choose your aim and attend to it and find your signal through all the noise that astrology can sound. There's a thread of music for you here if you can pick it up and sing along. So there's really so many different opportunities and challenges happening this month. But I really feel like if you have a specific aim, if you have something that is more resonant in your chart, maybe than other things, depending on where your personal placements are, if you're a Leo, if you're a Libra, if you're an Aquarius, right? What are you going to pick up on and run with? Because that's really kind of what August is for. There's a lot of opportunity for integration and accomplishment and understanding here. So I hope you've enjoyed this forecast. I will be changing the name of Third House Podcast. I'm not ready to announce it yet, but I will be making a little bonus episode to announce it when I do that for September. So I hope you'll continue to listen under the new name, and I will try to make it as easy as possible to continue to follow me. You can always follow me on Instagram if you want more content, or sign up for my newsletter where I email at least once a week to my people. And I also started a Substack, so you can check that out. But that's more of my writerly writing things than astrology as well. If you're interested in that, you can check that out. Otherwise, get an astrology or tarot reading with me. This is the last month for me in my Brattleboro, Vermont office proper. I'll be going back to working from home and doing online readings mostly, but I'll be looking for like an office share situation where I could drop in for in-person readings in Brattleboro as well, because I do love seeing you in person, but I'll no longer be like at my office on 4 days a week as I was for the past year. So if you like that office and you like seeing me there, come book a reading for August to get in. Otherwise, you can always see me online from wherever you are. And I love seeing my clients and talking to them about how these transits actually affect them with a wayfinding reading, or what their natal chart says about them and the opportunities available there. It's really my favorite thing to sit down with a client and talk deeply about who they are, what their desires are, and what's going on for them in this larger landscape of time that we get to see through astrology. And also with tarot, perfect for answering specific questions, perfect for laying out a spread around a situation and really diving into it. So those are my favorite things, working with clients. Definitely book me for that in August. And I hope you have a great month and a favorable eclipse season.